Welcome back to CHG Podcast, everybody. My name is RJ, and that is David over there. I'm better. I'm not fully better, but I'm better from my sickness from the previous week. I my sinuses have finally started to kind of go down a bit. I haven't really needed tissues as much yesterday night or today, so I'm thinking that's pretty much good to go. I still have this cough that is still here, which sucks, but other than that, I'm pretty good to go. Um, yeah, so we're back as normal. We're covering episode 7 of The Last of Us, which, by the way, I found out there are 9 episodes in this season, so there are 2 more. So we will see how they do both of them.
So they did say that the last 2 episodes are going to be longer.
That's because they want to get through the first game.
Like an hour and a half for the last episode.
Okay, I didn't see that, but it makes sense because if they want to get through if they want to get through the whole game in one season, that's probably the way to do it. Anywho, so yeah, we're gonna cover episode 7, which the conservatives' probably favorite episode ever of the whole season was.
We interrupt this program to bring you the gay propaganda machine.
Underage minor gay propaganda, our favorite kind.
I was disgusted. I was violated.
You think your boy reviewed it? You think your boy reviewed it?
Oh, fuck what it Malone matches? Was that it? Malone matches. Malone. Fuck it. Let's continue. I'm gonna fucking find this out. Just continue. Go.
Okay, so for you guys that don't know or didn't see last episode, we were talking about the show last week, and Dave decided to look up the reviews for some of the episodes of the show, and he found one particular review was a 0. I think it was on episode 3 with Bill. And
yes.
Frank.
No. It was the overall show.
Oh, okay.
He was rating the overall show.
Anyways, which is weird. I don't know how you can rate the show when it's not even over yet. But he found this review by this guy named Matches Malone or something along those lines, and he gave it a 0, and he was like ruined character development or something along those lines. And David just that review just triggered David, and I don't know what it was, but so David now has it out for this guy. And that's why he's looking up to see if Matches came back for a repeat review. But anyway, so yeah, just like I'm curious to see if this episode gets his review bombed as episode 3 did, because yes, it does cover Ellie and Riley's relationship that became more than just a friendship. It ended up becoming romantic, mutually romantic towards the end of the episode, which is canon. That is from the game, so it was not anything that they just created out of thin air. That is just how it happened in the game. And for those who don't know, who maybe haven't played the game or forgot, this episode was pulled directly from the DLC expansion for the game called Left Behind, which the way that DLC was structured was it filled in the gaps between the time Joel gets injured at the university and then where the next section starts in the game, where it's the winter time and Ellie is trying to help Joel, like find antibiotics for Joel and help him keep him safe while he's recovering. Because at the time in the game, by the time they're in their little cabin, we find them in their cabin, Joel's already patched up. He's already been fixed and everything. We never got that explained initially in the game. It basically was like a little cliffhanger, making us think that Joel was going to die or something, or Joel was about to be in bad shape. But it just time skips, and Joel's all right. I mean, he's still really hurting, but he's no longer bleeding out, and Ellie's just fending him off, trying to keep him safe. And so the DLC fills in that gap of how the hell she did that. And not only does it do that, but also gives us a backstory into Ellie and her best friend and Riley's relationship, and also how Riley ended up dying, because we get hints of it. We get hints of it that you kind of need to search for in the game, like through checking her backpack, because you can check Ellie's backpack as soon as you get control of her, and in it has like a couple things with Riley, and she'll make a comment when you get to those artifacts or whatever, little mementos, she'll say things about it, like a little thing to herself about it, like in remembrance. But that's all we got. And this DLC allowed us to get a better sense of the relationship and how that went down. And so that's where this episode is taking inspiration from. And which is great because it also happens at the right time in the game, which I was really happy. So the continuity is perfect. It happened exactly where it was supposed to happen. Now, granted, some things were changed. Yeah. I don't know. I think you played the DLC once. I think you played it like one time.
No, I didn't play it all. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what we said last episode. This is going to be the first episode that I have no context other than I know what the DLC did and was, but I have no idea. I never played it. And on that note, this is like, so I don't know if RJ knows this, but I know my wife knows this. I have a real problem with like anxiety in shows. Like I will, if I get my anxiety gets too up, I'll fast forward through shit. Like or I'll like pause and take a breather. This is the only episode that I've like fast forwarded and like I'll fast forward 30 seconds. Okay, everything's still fine, and I'll rewind 30 seconds so I can watch it all in comfort without anxiety.
And what made you? What parts of the episode made you get like that?
I knew what would happen in the end. I knew the story of what happens to both of them in the end, so I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when. So yeah.
Does that happen when you play games?
Nah, not really. I mean, kind of. When I play intense games, I'll sometimes like pause for a second. But yeah, okay. But there's no way to fast forward in games. So
I suppose you're right.
Anyway, okay. So to cut in, finish your thoughts, and then I'll cut in with my what I found out in my internet search.
Oh gosh.
But like, okay, do we want my rant? Whatever. We'll get my rant at the end. Or this will turn into one really long rant episode. So we'll get my rant at the end. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Watch till the end for David's fucking rant part 2. Okay. All right. Introducing a new villain.
Someone else now on your list?
Oh yeah. This guy's got it worse than Matches Malone. Matches Malone's a saint compared to this guy. Holy shit. Okay.
Man.
All right, go.
Keep in mind, David likes to be triggered. I'm not going to lie to you guys. He goes on Facebook on purpose just to start fights with people who he believes are dumb.
To be fair, I've deleted Facebook.
For the longest time, this dude almost was like he was looking to pick a fight.
Oh, and it's with fucking anything. Sports, religion, politics.
Especially religion, politics. Especially those two.
So background, real quick, so you don't think I'm one thing. I'll put myself exactly who I am. I am very religious, and I get pissed when other religious people make me and tied to me, who I believe is my Lord and Savior, look bad. I get really fucking pissed. And I fucking go ham on people that represent me and my Lord in a negative way. So
don't twist the words of the Bible, more or less.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be that street preacher at my university that I fucking went ham on. Don't fucking be him.
Don't be a politician, more or less.
Anyway, yeah for sure. Anyway, sorry.
We're gonna reel this back here. All right, so as far as the changes, because David doesn't know, so he needs to be educated.
Yeah.
So
educate me, Professor Prozac.
Yes. Bring your apples and your cordyceps samples. Okay, so the DLC starts in that cabin that the game starts you in. Starts in that cabin, and she is trying to figure out. She's trying to look for shit, but she can't find anything.
Trying to heal a fucking hole in him.
Hold on. Rewind. She takes him to an abandoned mall. That's where they stopped, in an abandoned mall.
Okay.
An abandoned mall. She somehow got him tied into like a makeshift like sled thing that the horse was dragging him on to keep to kind of get him to where he needed to go. She can't carry him, obviously. So like it was like that, and took her to a mall, an abandoned mall, which makes sense because that's the whole backdrop of her story.
Of the DLC, yeah.
there's a mall, and so she goes and searches around the mall to find medicine, and so the DLC goes back and forth through I think 5 chapters of the past and the present, but it all takes place in a mall, which is interesting. So it starts off in the present with Ellie in a mall, and she eventually gets to an abandoned helicopter that ends up having medicine, and then it cuts to the past where, like in the show, Ellie is in her room by herself, and then Riley shows up and surprises her. So
Mm.
that's all the same. Now the interactions are a bit different, but that idea is the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she didn't. The way Riley woke Ellie up in the show was a bit creepy. I'm not gonna lie. She did not do that in the game. At least not that creepily. She didn't like try to cover her mouth and like I don't know smother her or something.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird. But she does come and wake her up in her room, and then she says like, "Hey, come, I'm a firefly now, but I want to show you something," and gets her out of her room. And blah blah blah. That's all the same. And then they get to the mall, and they basically the most of the stuff in the past is like it's all just story stuff. It's not really action oriented or combat focused. It's mainly just the two of them being two teenage girls in a mall. That's mainly what it is. But the whole time though, there is that sense from Ellie of like she's like there's something brewing. You can tell there's something brewing underneath, and
Mm-hmm.
Ellie really wants to talk to Riley, but they're not really sure how to say it or when to say it, how that goes. And so that was portrayed pretty well
Mm.
in the show, of Ellie kind of being apprehensive but still going along, and Riley being very eager to kind of keep things rolling and moving and everything. So that was pretty good. I will say though, when they got the alcohol, that was completely different. That was not in some abandoned building. That was actually in the mall. Everything is in the mall in the game.
Uh-huh.
However, it was nice because we don't get to see how they got to the mall. They're just in the mall. They just like jump down from a roof and they're in the
Yeah.
mall.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see them traverse through the rooftops and actually get
How to
to the
get
mall.
there while
Yeah,
still while still
that was
like
nice.
forwarding the story, talking about the
Yes.
fireflies and
Mhm.
the Fedra and stuff like that.
Yeah, we get some of that background in the game through the mall, whether because there's way more they do way more exploring in the mall. One thing they didn't bring from the game, which I thought they would have, but they didn't. It's like one of the few things they didn't bring was in the game. There's a little story sequence where you actually play a game with Riley and you compete to see who can throw more bricks at these parked cars that are down at a lower level, and see how many, who can smash the most windows. And whoever wins gets to ask the other like any question or a truth or dare type of thing,
Mm.
anything that they want of each other. And if you win, you get to ask her like a few questions like, like why did you leave? Why are you joining Fireflies? Like the kind of deeper questions, stuff like
Well,
that.
that she asked in the
That
show,
yeah,
just without
yeah.
the yeah.
But I was just saying, I did think that would happen because they almost brought pretty much almost everything from the
Mm-hmm.
DLC to the show except for like that. And also they didn't have the Jack X combat race. So for those who know, Jack and Daxter had 3 games, but then they had an extra racing game, kind of like Crash Bandicoot has Crash Team Racing. It was called Jack X Combat Racing. And in the game, there's an little Easter egg that pays homage to it, where you can find the Jack X Combat Racing um, arcade machine in the game when they get to the arcade, and you can actually it doesn't work, but you can get into it and like pretend you're driving and stuff.
Which she did, just not for that.
But I was like waiting. I was like, where is Jack X? I was so hoping it would show up. It unfortunately did not, but it was still fun to see them in the arcade regardless. But anyways, yeah. So it goes to that, and then it cuts back to Ellie, and is she trying to get out of the mall? But then that's when the combat starts because there is combat. It's not just completely just walking sim, but like there is some combat where these hunters have been trailing Ellie, and they found her because they really just want to get Joel, but they don't know that Joel's basically dead. And so Ellie is trying to make her way back and taking out all these like guys,
Mm-hmm.
and also some clickers and infected, which is interesting because the cool little mechanic that game did was creating ways to get the infected to take out the guys without you being involved. So like you would throw a brick somewhere near where a clicker was to attract it, but you're like high up away from everybody, but they'll like they'll like still freak out and go and run and attack the guys because they didn't know the clicker was over there. So that was like kind of the cool little mechanic that they added to the DLC. Anyways, though, if you make your way back and then you finally make it back to Joel, and then you give him, then you find, use antibiotics, stitch him up, and then I guess from there you take him to that shed. And then the DLC, sorry, and then in the past it goes back, and then they finally have like their big blowout conversation, like they did in the game or in the show, big blowout thing where they kind of argue and like let their emotions out because it's very tense. And then she says, and that's when Riley's like, "I'm leaving. It's my last night," and then they get to some they didn't do this in the arcade, or sorry, in the haunted props game or whatever. They were like some like electronic section or something like that where they did like the dancing on the counters, and then and also it was raining. They hit the sprinklers or something, which was kind of funny in the game. And then they're kind of dancing and stuff like that and everything, and then that's when they stopped, and then Ellie was like, "Don't go," which that is 1-for-1 from the game, where they did the dancing. It was even the same song too, which was really nice. And then, she says, she stops, says, "Don't go," and then kisses her. And then, and even when she says sorry, and then Riley says, "For what?" ripped straight from the game. Exactly. That basically from the point they started dancing to after they stopped dancing, 1-to-1, purely 1-to-1. And so that was all really nice. And then then the clickers.
Spoilers coming up. Just FYI, this is all spoilers, but a major spoiler is coming up here in a second.
Well, okay, yeah. So then, well, this is a spoiler review of the show. So I mean,
I don't know.
Anyways, but here's where things were different. So in the game, because they had played the music, they were playing loud music through the speakers. That's what attracted the clickers and affected in the game. And there was more than one. I could tell you, there was a group, and they had to haul ass out of there. So that was what they did in the game, and then they go on a chase. There's a chase. It's a whole chase scene, and then it actually ends and like in a atrium or like a greenhouse looking area of some kind or whatever. That's where it ends in the game, and that's where they both got bit and all that stuff and everything. Whereas here is just one infected or clicker. I think no, it wasn't a clicker. It was an infected. Just one infected. And they stayed within the props room place. So that was remixed, but it was fine. Because
the ending conversation, was that all the same about like the two options and about
yes.
we have to basically we need to live every second we have together.
Yes, but however, I think the show did it more impactfully because I think Riley I could be mistaken, but I think Riley in the game was a bit more headstrong when she gave that little bit, speech.
A little less like
she was a bit more like
emotional, the show.
Yeah, she wasn't as emotional. I don't think she was as emotional. In the game, it's been a minute since I've played the DLC. I haven't played the DLC as much as I played the main game, but I don't remember her being as emotional and sad in the show. But however, that could be because I'm getting things up. That could be because from what I remember, the two things I don't remember about Riley was that I didn't know she was 17, and I didn't know that she had parents of her own that she watched die.
It's possible that those are changes, but
I think changes or additions, because I don't think we knew that at all. I like when she said she was 17, I was like, "You're 17?" Because I don't think their age was ever given. So I just assumed that she was, I guess, the same age as Ellie, or maybe a year older. But I guess it makes sense because this Riley does look visibly older.
Yeah, and part of the conflict is that she's aging out of the system that they're in, and she got literal shit duty.
Yeah, sewage, whatever thing. Which that's not in the game. That was never talked about her. At least I don't think so. About her, like she's coming of age now, so she's going to be assigned to a thing to do in the QZ. I don't remember that ever being talked about in the game, nor did I know that she slept in the mall, like as an outpost or whatever. I don't think that was ever established in the game. So these are all just little extra details to kind of just, I guess, flesh things out a bit. So yeah, so some things were remixed, but it all leads to the same place, which is again another example of them kind of change. Like they're using the same things, but changing them up a bit to get to the same destination. Like the way they broke down the, going through all the bits and bobs, the little places that Riley wanted to show Ellie.
The four, then five after
wonders,
the escalator.
yeah, which she didn't. She never presented it. I don't think she presented them as wonders. I could be wrong though, but I don't think she did. But you go through all the same ones. Everything's the same. Like the prop store, they did go through the prop store, but it's more of a bigger event. Is not like the finale. At least I don't think it was. And they do the arcade. They did do the drinking. I forget. I think they did the carousel as well. That did seem familiar to me.
Yeah, the carousel was absolutely there. Yeah.
And so, the things are all there, but it's a bit changed up a bit, just to kind of fit with the rest of with this kind of story they're telling. So it hit all the bits from the game. It just kind of changed it up, moved things around a little smidgen here and there, but it all worked out all the same. But I would say though, I was kind of hoping the biggest changes though are the present bits with Ellie, because all we get in the present is that they're in the cabin and then she's looking around the house for medicine in the cabin and she finds it. Miraculously she finds some shit to stitch him up. Whereas in the game we got way more of stuff in the present of her trying to find it and actually taking more control of Ellie than her having to fend off people hunting them down. So I was kind of hoping for more of that, but I guess if they did, it probably wouldn't have went longer than one episode. And I think they really wanted to just get this done in one episode because this was a DLC at the end of the day. And I guess the main point of the DLC was to give us a backstory of Ellie, more or less, more so than filling the gap in between, how Joel got healed. They're both important, but I think the bigger thing was like let's look back at Ellie and her loss and everything and stuff like that. So so that's kind of the background of this episode and that DLC as a whole. When it came out, 2014, because it came out 2014, I believe. It came out like a long time after the main game because we didn't even know we would even get a DLC for Last of Us, because Naughty Dog is not known for single player DLC for any of their games. So when they did it, it was like I think it was their first ever single player DLC.
Yeah,
because they didn't do any for any Uncharted. There was rumblings that there might have been for 2 or 3, but it never came.
Well, I mean, we got the one with the girls that was supposed to be a DLC that they just made into a single.
The expansion, the standalone expansion.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that depends on your definition of expansions or DLC.
Well, it was supposed to be DLC for the third game, and they just were like.
Some people could still maybe consider it an extension of some kind, and I guess that maybe you could then I guess say that is, but whatever. It wasn't like a small sized $10, $15 thing that we're used to seeing for DLC.
Yeah.
But they had never done anything like that before, and then so this was like the first time they did it, and so we were like, oh snap! And when that bitch dropped, I remember GameSpot gave that DLC Game of the Month. And it was just DLC. 2 hours, by the way. It only takes like 2 to 3 hours to finish, like on standard difficulties. It's not very long. But that bitch won all the awards for just a DLC experience. That's all it did. And that people were just up in arms in the best way possible. People loved this DLC expansion when it came out. Like there was no two ways about it. It was like, this is how you do DLC. Like everyone look at, this is how you do it. I'm like, I mean, I guess the value proposition wise, not really, but I mean, as far as narrative, yes. I'm sure most of it. I'm sure it helped that they had Ellie have a gay relationship, which this industry, as far as like the journalists, they eat that up. So I mean, that definitely played into it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's gonna, even if you didn't have that bias, it still did it in a very nice way. And if anything, I remember being like whoa, like kind of like my when they had that kiss, I was fucking not expecting that. Not in a like oh this world's going to hell type of way, but like a holy shit, they actually did it.
Mm.
Like, because how often, first of all, how often do you get a gay relationship, right? Which we've already talked about in gaming. That is, it's still a novelty to this day. Even more niche is a minor or a teenage gay relationship, which, and we're talking 2014, almost 10 years ago. That was uncharted territory. It still really is, but they did it, and I was like, wow. Holy crap, I've never seen this before. I had never seen that before, and I still haven't seen it since. But it's like it's just part of life. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like
I think
that shouldn't be relegated to just adults.
I think
it happens at every stage. So like I was like
to get in
kudos.
to transfer and to get into my thoughts about this episode. So
Oh gosh.
Thank you, sir, for all the background. So like my thought on everything on this episode is I enjoyed it. I don't think I'd put it up there with any of my top ones from this season. I would say it's you'll get my ranking when we get to that. But I think it was a good episode. I don't think it was one of the better episodes, but I think it was a good episode. I like the background story into Ellie, and how she was a problem child, but she did have a lot of leader qualities, which in the game you kind of got that feeling. In the game, I think.
Did you? I never got that feeling about
I got that feeling because she was being taught by Joel. Not necessarily that she had them because of Fedra or anything, but because she was being, taught by Joel how to do things. But I like the background. What I like about the episode is just how they portrayed the romance. I remember when I was a teen and trying to like navigate crushes and going to the mall with your crush, right? Like you go to the mall with your crush and you hang out and you're joking and you're trying to get close to them and you're trying to say things that are like hints that you like them. Like when Riley was like, "Oh, I'm trying to imagine you in that Victoria's Secret thing." Like that's absolutely something a fucking like friend that has a crush on a friend would say. It's like, "Oh yeah, I can't imagine you in lingerie. I've never done that before," like joking with them, but like, you're really saying it because you hope that maybe they get a hint that like, oh, you actually do think about them like that. Or like the tension, like when they're walking and Ellie like keeps on like stealing glances, and like Riley, if you look, Riley knows that she is, and she kind of gives a smirk. Like they play that really well. And then you get into the photo box and like them doing the photo shoot, and they're kind of like awkwardly close to each other and they don't know how to react. And
the photo shoot was 1-for-1 as well.
Oh yeah,
they did that in the game, which is funny. And I hate what's funny because they didn't have to pay; it just worked in the game.
It makes sense they need to pay. Like,
but I will say it was
for the video games too.
They weren't able to get photos in the game.
Oh yeah.
But actually, what's weird? They actually try to do some.
They
try to just do some social integration with the DLC. So when the pictures got taken, you could I guess link in. I think you could link in your Facebook or something. I don't fucking. I was like, what the hell is this? Get the fuck out of here.
But anyway, they did that great. Like they were like awkward enough at the beginning, and then they just got into it because they are friends, but they're just friends with crushes. And I've been in that situation a bunch when I was a teenager.
Yes, you have.
And like that's how it plays out. I really enjoyed that. I think they did that perfectly. I think they did. The kiss was really good. Just like it's one of those things where, like when you're that age, it's like you're building this up. You're just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna do it, and then it just fucking happens. It just is like, bam. And I just got, flashbacks to all the times that I just was like sitting next to a girl in a movie theater, just, palms sweaty, not paying attention to the fucking movie at all. Just like
spaghetti.
And then you just go, huh, and then you just go kiss her. So I thought it was great. I think they did everything well. I think, and we'll get into my rant here in a little bit, but
Whoa, hey, let's slow down on
yeah,
that.
I think that was just a romance. It was just a teen romance done really good for something that's one episode long. You know, you kind of just have to have implied stuff. Like you imply that they've been roommates, that they are best friends, that they have this, close connection. You're not going to get a full. You're not going to see all of their relationship. You just have to, you have to, imply it upon some stuff. And yeah, I really like that. I think they did really well.
I forgot all about your past, David. Your teenage past, because
Oh yeah.
I do know about it, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, David
I
was
lost.
definitely was.
I had lots of those experiences.
David
Lots
has
of
been
first
chased.
kisses.
He's been chasing. He's been chasing for a long time. Before he met his wife, he
Mm-hmm.
had been chased. He's been chasing for a fat minute.
Not okay, and not just chasing and getting.
You were chased. Whatever, man.
There's
Well, it lasted so not long, so
no,
it just
it
felt
didn't.
like you were chasing
That's
anyway.
true. No,
So,
that's very true.
anyways, I will. So it juxtaposes very differently to me because I was not chasing. The only thing I was just not that I wasn't looking because oh boy was I looking, but I was a bit more restricted in the realm of dating growing up. My mom kind of had an iron grip on that for not just me but all my siblings because she didn't want us to fuck up, make any mistakes growing up, get caught up or anything. So I don't have the litany of experiences that our boy David here does, as far as like going hanging out with females and the ladies and everything. I didn't do shit. I did none of that. Not a. I didn't start. I didn't even have my first girlfriend until I was a senior in high school. Little fact for you, people out there. Whereas David probably had like 12 by the time that happened. So I mean, they all lasted maybe 2 months, but he had 12.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, you rack the cumulative months together.
and it and it comes out to a proper relationship, I swear. Um, but yeah, so I don't have the firsthand experience, so I can't relate firsthand. But
Mhm.
you see it around, and you kind of you at least felt, even if you never acted on going hanging out with crushes and shit, you still had feelings, right? And so we've all had that. So on that to that level, yes. And I will say the thing that I think struck me the most with the kiss, more so in the game, but I think the show did a good job of trying to portray best it could, was that you said it was like a build up, right? Well, maybe in the game, for me, it's perceived differently, but yes, there is a build up, yes, because obviously there has to be a climax, but the way it was executed was almost like, you know, her body, her body moved first, and then her
Mhm.
mind thought second.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it was so it was so reactionary in the game, at least, that you knew that's how you knew how much Ellie cared for Riley and how much she
Mhm.
just wanted to be with Riley because of that. Because they were just dancing, having a good time, and they looked at each other, and then like she just said, "Don't go." Oh, what happens is she says, "Don't go," and then Ellie, I think she had a necklace or something, like a firefly necklace. Oh, the pendants. She had a firefly pendant. Like the ones you find in the game. She had one, and she yanked it off, and she said, "I'm staying right here," or something like that, right? And then that's when she kissed her. That's when she did it in the game, and it was
Mhm.
just so reactionary. It was just so instinctual that's how you knew how strongly she felt for her, right?
Mhm.
I do think the game did that bit better, personally, but the show did a good job of trying to elicit that same feeling, right? Like it's not just like finally I'm hearing words I want to hear, or say it's just like you're going to stay, and my body has just been
Yeah.
waiting to hear that, and then bam, it
Yeah.
just I
It's.
can't help it.
I think the whole thing. So like. I think the emotions I was getting was. I think that Riley first went there. She first went to say goodbye, to see Ellie one last time and say goodbye, because that's what, without being around Ellie, she was like, I'm a Firefly now, but, I do want to say goodbye. So I'll work up, the courage, and we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to go our separate ways. she has a future in Fedra. I have a future in the Fireflies. That's what we're going to do. And then when she gets there and she remembers how much she cares for Ellie, then she's like, okay, well, like now I need to convince her to maybe go with me somehow, even though Marlene already said that she can't, but maybe I can convince her somehow this way. But the whole time what's happening in my head was that she was fighting that urge to stay. And when Ellie finally asked her, then she was like, okay, yeah. It was that question that made her realize the whole time what her heart was telling her, that she needed to stay.
In addition to that, it's the first time you actually hear Ellie give her real feelings on it. Because in the game and in the show, they have a fight about it, but then like Ellie kind of more or less just says, well, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, if that's what you have to do.
She didn't really say how she felt one way or the other about it until they're dancing on the counter, and then that's when she finally breaks down and just says, don't go. That's the first time she actually gives her feelings on her leaving. I mean, it's a different way to do it, but that is the first way that's the first time she said anything about it. And we already knew that's how she felt, but she finally said it out. And I think that also, as to what you said as well, that additionally helps, sway Riley's decision. I think Riley needed to hear either like she wants her to go or she wants her to stay.
And she was talking about her, her family, and that the Fireflies chose her. And
there was that too, but I feel like that's all just like minor reasons.
But this was Ellie, someone she actually cared about, like her family, choosing her. So
yeah, that's what I think that when she mentioned though about feeling wanted and everything, I feel like that was all just like minor shit. What really would have determined whether it's what Ellie thought about it.
Yeah,
that's what really mattered to her at the most. This was just like a nice little, probably in the moment was just really nice to hear and kind of persuaded her at the time.
At the same time, I don't think if Ellie came at it with like a logical, like, I don't think you should go because the odds of you dying, with the Fireflies is higher than if you stay here. I think it had to be Ellie choosing her, like saying, I want you. I don't think Ellie could have convinced her in another way by saying, don't go in another way.
Yes, but I don't think Elliot would have been able to even do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I'm pretty sure it had to be her choosing.
Oh yeah, I mean, you want to speak from the heart, not from the mind.
Yeah.
With something like this, it's best to it is for the other person who's potentially leaving. They kind of need to hear the heart, not the brain. But as far as how it went pretty well. The Victoria's Secret thing is actually new. That was not in the game. That was an extra little funny little touch. But it harkens back to, there were some bits from the main game that they were able to incorporate here in the in this episode. This is the first one because there's a bit in the main game for those. It's a little thing you could easily miss. It's not important, but in Pittsburgh, there's a bit before you get to the hotel where you can kind of walk backwards and you'll find this poster of this model, and you can have a conversation with Ellie where she'll go up to the model and she'll be like, kind of asking questions about it, because this is the idea of not eating for modeling is like, that's the farthest thing from reality in this world. So she doesn't understand that kind of concept is just over her head. But she asks Joel about it, and Joel's like, well, so she says like, I thought you guys had plenty of food in your time. And Joel's like, well, we did. Some of us chose not to eat it. And she's like, why? And like, looks, beauty. And Ellie either says bizarre or stupid or some of the same. So this kind of, that Victoria's Secret bit, not only does it help lay the seeds of their little, of flirting that they're doing with each other, little cutesy thing that they're doing, but it also is a little nice little harken back Easter egg to that little poster that they didn't have so far in the show. And the second thing was, there was a little poster in one of like the little painting shots of Teenage Wolf, or whatever that movie poster is. that poster is legit from the game. Legit from the game. And is obviously a riff off of Twilight, because when the game came out, Twilight was still in pop culture and everything. So it was just a little riff on that. But I was wondering if they were ever going to show that poster, because it's actually around quite a few times in the show, throughout the game, and they hadn't shown it in the show. At least I hadn't seen it, so I was like, "Oh, cool, there it is." So it's just these nice little funny little things for like those who are eagle-eyed, who have been playing the games a whole bunch like me, who would notice stuff like that. So that was really nice to have in. But as far as the show, the episode, yeah, I mean, I feel like not too many shows will do a teenage romance in this way. Like, there's nothing ridiculous about the way their feelings are for each other, or it's very real, it's very raw, it's very honest, it's very innocent, which is something new we haven't really seen so far in this show.
Yeah.
Because everything is very brutal and cynical and everything.
Well, it gets there.
Yes, but I'm just saying though, as far as for the most of the episode, is a very nice, innocent, pure way
it's kids being kids,
teenage romance. And we even shows in movies that focus or have bits on teenage romance, they don't do it as real as this. Like, there's none of them are doing anything crazy heroic, saving the day, trying to do something. It's just one of them, well, they both like each other. One of them has the opportunity to show the other something really cool before she goes. You can't get more simple than that. And sometimes simple is the best way possible. And it was just as simple in the game. And so it was great. The only thing that people were having problems with is that it was a gay teenage relationship. And they're going to think that the devil is walking the earth now. Well, I mean, if you're religious, he is, but yeah, like the devil is just everywhere you look, and that's the only reason why people would have problems with it. But it's a thing, people. Get over it. It's real. Just stop.
And on that note,
before we give our reviews,
and on that note,
we'll lay the floor for David to have his rant.
So this comes from our friend Rom. This episode,
not even a cool name.
No, not even a cool fucking name. No, Rom. This is a complete Kapets. Kapets. Whatever.
Wait, hold on. Spell that again.
Kapets. Kapets.
ETS. Kapets.
Kapets. Whatever.
Maybe it's French.
The plot details are taken from the game, but damn it. Why was it necessary to shove gays and lesbians here? First off, fucking wrong. All the lesbians in this episode. You don't don't
the gays.
The guys. The gays and the lesbians. Anyway. Okay, guys. Okay, this gets a little weird. I'm not sure. Okay, guys. Okay, gays. Because I guess he's calling out the gays. Okay, gays. But episode 7 is up. Is fucked up. I think he meant is fucked up. Yeah. So okay, gays. I'm not sure if he's meant gays or guys. Gays, but fuck, episode 7 is fucked up. I imagine the hero from the outside. It was clear that he had a slack inside. I think he's talking about like the director had
Who's the hero? So I want to know.
I think he meant. I don't even know. Part of this is incomprehensible.
By the way, Capets, just so you know,
this hero sympathized with me. What the fuck are you even talking? Anyway, sorry. Skip that.
How can you be mad at this when it doesn't even make sense?
I'm getting there. Well, the gays and lesbians thing. But you understand that in this series, she's 14 years old, and she's kissing a black woman.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Oh, now I'm involved.
Yeah. Okay, now we see the problem here. We
that was an issue.
Yeah. I am upset that you made a lesbian out of a hero.
Oh, so Ellie's the hero. Okay.
Yeah, Ellie's the hero, I guess.
Okay.
It ruined the whole show. Okay. All right, fucking Rom. All right. Wait,
is that it? Is that
that's it. That was like like he calls out.
Half the quote, you can't even understand what he's saying. So
That's true. That's true. I think he's saying basically that the hero, that they fucked up the hero. You know, that he. I get it now. He sympathized with the hero. He sympathized with Ellie prior to this episode, and they fucked it up. Well, because now she's lesbian and she kissed a black woman.
Hearing her,
you know,
hearing anyone be called a hero in this universe is very weird.
I think he just means the protagonist of the story.
I don't think this man is an English or American native person by any means.
I mean, hey, you don't know by this standards now.
If he's calling him hero, I mean, that's a
anyway. So like. All right, so first off, you call out like the gays and lesbians, like okay, cool.
The gays.
It's almost like you be okay with that, but oh man, not only is she lesbian, but she kissed a black woman.
Dang, why you gotta single out the race, girl?
Okay, so so we're just gonna. I'm not gonna talk about too much about Rom's comment just because it was illiterate and fucking stupid and shit. But the overall sentiment, because that was one of many, of course. People fucking losing their shit just because she, they'll call out like, oh, she was only 14. This is child porn. Like that one comment said that. It's like, oh, this is child pornotography because she's only 4.
Then what is pornography to you then? If that's child pornography,
okay. So like, but here's the motherfucking thing. If this was a girl kissing a dude, y'all motherfuckers wouldn't say a fucking word. You would not say a damn thing, okay?
Why are we censoring ourselves?
Because my mother-in-law is in the other room.
Oh, is she really?
She's here. Yeah, she's here. So that's the thing. They wouldn't say a word. They wouldn't say a word. And that's the thing. Like, they didn't say a word. I bet these same people can watch Back to the Future, and Marty McFly is trying, is almost making out with his
mom. Yeah,
he almost did. He almost smashed his mom, and I bet you some of these same dudes are like, he should have. He should have. Like, I guarantee you that they're just like, I would have. like, okay, so like, but let's get up past all that, because like I get angry, but you can only get so angry with these people over their bigotry, like, because you're never going to be able to reason with them that these are still people, they still have love and everything like that, even if you don't agree with it. And I have my religious beliefs on the whole matter and all that sort of stuff. But like, you're never going to be able to convince these people that they still have lives, they still have love, they still have the same relationships that you do. And representation can be done poorly in shows and movies, and it is done poorly all the time, forced representation. This was done good. This was a love story that worked perfectly for what it was, for the time it was given, and it just so happens to be that it was 2 girls. And that's how it should be done. It should be a love story that works, and then it just so happens to be 2 girls, or so happens to be 2 boys, or it so happens to be, a boy that's now a girl, or a girl that's now a boy, whatever you wanted to do. The love story is what matters, and you insert whatever you want into it. So it worked that way. And for people who are saying that it doesn't add anything to the story, they're just not fucking paying attention to the story. So the reason why in the show Ellie has this flashback is that Joel tells her to leave because he is going to die. So in his mind, it's over. There's no reason for Ellie to spend any more time trying to save him because he's dead. She now just needs to move on and get back to safety with Tommy. And so she's considering leaving him. And as she goes to head out the door, she has this flashback to this whole, relationship she had with Riley. And then at the end, the message Riley gives her about, there's 2 ways we can do this. We can take the easy way out and just, hey, we're going to die. Let's just kill ourselves. Let's just give up. Or we can take every second we have, whether that be 2 minutes or 2 days, and be together and until we die. And that's what makes her decide to not give up on Joel, to go find the sewing kit and go down and try to save Joel's life. That's the significance of all of this story. So it wasn't, for no reason in the story. Like in every story, you can rewrite it for her to learn that same lesson a different way, but that's not what happened. And you need to just grow up and realize that this is what happened for this story. So, but yeah, I guess I'm not as mad. I don't have as much to rant about because if you want to hear more ranting, just watch last episode about fucking Matches Malone. But I just think it's stupid. I think it's people getting mad just to get mad, just because they don't want to see, alternate lifestyles represented, and they want to, gate guard any kind of, media at all. It's stupid. If it was a boy girl kiss, they could have been 10, and you guys would have been like, "That's the cutest thing in the world. That's so cute. Oh, the love touched." But just because it was two girls, you got to find everything that's wrong with it. And I just saw it, and look, I didn't see it. Here's the thing too, like to see it as pornography, right? You have to see it as sexual. You have to see that kiss as sexual. I did not see it as sexual. I did not look at that kiss and go like, "Oh yeah, that's not how that kiss was. It was, oh man, they love each other, like they have feelings for each other. That's love, not sexual. That's agape, not whatever the passion love is. That's agape love, not passion love. I can't remember the Greek word for that. But you guys saw that as sexual, and that's a problem for you. So, okay, I'm done. Go get help.
First of all, kapets is apparently a military word to describe faulty or destroyed equipment, just so you know.
Oh, kaputs. It's pronounced kaputs. Okay.
Oh, Russian. It's Russian then. See, I told you this guy wasn't from. I told you he wasn't an English. He's probably Russian dude.
You can use.
But then you mix that with him calling Ellie the hero. No one normally does. No one says that in real life. Anyway. Okay. Anyways,
Rom, you need to get help if you saw that as sexual.
I will also say the reason why it makes sense is because keep in mind, I know it takes place 2023, but it's supposed to be 20 years after the outbreak had happened initially.
Yeah.
Okay. You really going to tell me in a world as shitty as, and remember, she was born into this world. She was not born before. She was born into it, during it. Okay. She was molded by it. Created by it. Anyways, you're going to tell me that in a world as batshit insane as this one is, that they are really, that any governing body, which I don't even know if you can even call federal a governing body, but like a militaristic body, but you're going to tell me that they give two shits about holding up Christian family values? Not in this world, son. Not in this world. Now, I'm sure there's some crazy hicks in this crazy post-apocalyptic area, world over in the boonies that still do. But most of it, I'm sure most of this world could give. That is the last thing on their mind, is worrying about whether you like guys, girls, or anything else in between. Because this world is so survivalistic. That's the last thing that matters. So a relationship like this absolutely makes sense. Even if you didn't agree with it, if you just think about that environment, it makes sense. Because why would anyone else care? No one would care. So just I know it's logic and they're not going to listen to logic, but it's just like that's kind of where my mind goes to. Even if you were like on the fence about the idea of it, it's just like, in this world, who would fucking care? You think everyone's gonna hold up values? Like, no, I don't got time for values. I got time. Like, I'm just trying to make sure I live the next day. So if you want to get some booty or something else, some P or V or D and E, I don't care. I just need to live. So yeah. Anyway, so review time. So we can wrap up here. I'm gonna go first. You normally go first. As a show, I will give it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I don't remember what I gave the Bill episode. But I will give the 7.5. It wasn't as much filler as Bills was. Now having this one, I do think Bills was filler, important filler, but filler in the grand scheme of things. Whereas this, like you broke down, plays a significant part into the plot, overarching plot of the story that's being told, and it fills in the gap. Because if it had gone the way that the game did, people have been like calling out plot holes left and right if we just got to the cabin. So but it was still a good episode all the same. Not, I mean, very little action in this one for sure, but I knew what I was getting into. But I'm sure a lot of people are gonna think maybe probably a little bit of a lull in this season is that episode, but I liked it nonetheless. But just I don't know, just 7.5 for me. But that's as a show. As an adaptation, a lot of it was adapted very, very well. I mean, as much as even though I wasn't as emotionally like kind of attached to this episode as other ones, I looking at it and knowing what the DLC was like for a DLC, which is crazy. Not even for the main game, but for a fucking DLC, the adaptation was phenomenal. I'm gonna give it a 9. The adaptation, you won't know as much as I do, but the adaptation. So maybe you shouldn't review the adaptation one, but
I'll just ditto your 9 for everything you said. It sounds like they did a great job. So
it's a 9. I'm gonna give it a 9. This was especially for a DLC. Like that is crazy to give it that much attention. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 for me. Very well adapted from the main game or from the game.
I think for me, I'm gonna give it a solid 7. Like it was nothing. Yeah, to me, 7s are average for a good show. And I think this was an average episode for what is a very good show. So that's why it gets a 7. It didn't do anything like I would say it is needed. Like you said, without the filler, like we could have done without the Bill and Frank story and gone totally cool with it. I think that although it wouldn't be too much loss without this episode, it still very much helps establish, where they are. It establishes how far, and for this next episode with Davis Camp, how far Ellie is willing to go for Joel, and why she's willing to go as far as she is for Joel. I think we got that feeling. Like you could just assume that, she loves Joel, she sees him as a father figure and all that stuff. But now we get context on why she won't quit on him, why she cares so much about him. So yeah, I'll give it a 7, just because it was very good. It was, but still just an average episode for a very good show. And then for the adaptation, I'll just ditto on yours. Sounded like they did a lot of really, 1-for-1 shit on that. So
if Jack X had been in there, it would have been a 10. If they had put the Jack X arcade machine, straight 10. And eat instantly. I love that game oh my gosh, I love that game. Anyway, so yeah. So we'll see what happens next episode. I'm very curious next episode.
This
finale of the David arc, I guess you could call it, from the game is up.
And Troy Baker's making his
is he coming in this one? Okay. I'll keep my eyes open.
His appearance.
See if I can spot him.
You will be able to. He's right there.
Oh, okay. The finale of that arc in the game is up there with my like top bits, like emotional bits of the game for sure. Like a part I'll replay or rewatch multiple times.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice.
And also I don't know if they're gonna do it. I'm really hoping that they do the cutscene with Joel when he finally kind of comes to, and then he takes out those 2 dudes in the abandoned room and he like interrogates them. Oh man, I'm hoping that. Something about that scene gives me chills, but like good chills. Like it's just like that's where you finally get the first sense of like, this dude's going for his daughter. He's finding his daughter. I mean, not real. You get it, like that. He is out to get his daughter back, and I'm just like, oh man.
So, next week, guys, join us next week. It's gonna be awesome.
It's hopefully gonna be a good one. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good. You guys want to? This should be pretty actiony too.
It's been every week has been a good one. So
it should be pretty actiony too. If you want some action, this one should bring some action for you guys who think it, who have been a bit, bereft of it. So be stay tuned. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up this episode. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe as always, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.